The Godzilla vs. Kong trailer is now out, and I've given it about a week to really digest, what's going on. So, without further ado, here's a bit of analysis. I just want to get the elephant in the room out of the way right now. That's Mechagodzilla. That is Mechagodzilla. You can't really convince me otherwise. Hell, you can see him for a brief moment in the trailer. That it's clearly Mechagodzilla. If it's not Mechagodzilla, then it's Mecha King Ghidorah, which is kind of what they were teasing at the end of King of the Monsters. I'm convinced that they are going the full cyborg route, probably, at least for a while, at least for a little bit, kind of like in the original. I mean, some of the dialogue in the trailer almost comes straight out of the original Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla back in 1974. And again, that's just speculation. If that doesn't happen in the movie, oh well. I do find it a bit odd that they seem to be going with Mechagodzilla and not Mecha King Ghidorah, though. At least on the surface, that's what I think is kind of a bit odd. Maybe they're both in here. Maybe Mechagodzilla isn't in it at all, and it is just Mecha King Ghidorah in the trailer. Because, we don't really get a good look at him. I'm pretty sure that is Mechagodzilla, though. It could very well be that Godzilla is finally being controlled by that box that they set up in King of the Monsters, and that's what's making him go crazy. There's just not enough information out there for me to really speculate anyway, and I refuse to look at those leaks that are out there. I refuse to look at them. They're spreading around like cancer, and I refuse to look at them. Now, I've also heard a lot of fans speculate that it's Mechagodzilla attacking Kong on the aircraft carrier. The fight on the aircraft carrier is a concept so outright ridiculous, I was laughing my ass off in all of the right ways. The images of Kong and Godzilla duking it out on that aircraft carrier is something straight out of late Showa-era Kaiju movies, and I just adored it. And before I get further into this, I want to say that I hope this movie I hope it just goes full Pacific Rim, the first movie. And I think that's how the filmmakers are actually leaning when it comes to this movie. And I'm looking forward to that tremendously. Anyway, I think that's really Godzilla on the aircraft carrier. He sees Kong as a threat and wants to take him out. To me, that makes logical sense for Godzilla's character within this monsterverse. But as I've said many times before in many different podcasts and so on and so forth, this is going to be like Batman v Superman, just significantly better. Kong and Godzilla are going to fight for a bit only to team up against a greater foe, which I think will be Mechagodzilla, probably controlled by those eco-terrorists, or maybe even aliens. Oh my god, if it turns out to be aliens, I'm going to be officially in love with this movie. I'm gonna absolutely be a very happy camper, to say the least. That being said, I'm glad they brought back Millie Bobby Brown. I'm glad she's in this. She was my favorite character in King of the Monsters, and I loved seeing her in this trailer. I also like that Kong has an affection for that little girl. I know some people are complaining about that, but no, I like that. I've always thought Kong works best at being an emotional surrogate, which is in contrast to Godzilla, who tends to be cold and he really only has one emotion. I know that's not always true, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of examples to counter that, but that tends to be the go-to realm in terms of Godzilla. In fact, I liked what Michael Daughtry said when conceiving the story. I know he wasn't the writer of the movie, but he conceived the story. He said, Kong features very unique and very warm bonding moments, but Godzilla is more implied, as his softer side is rarely shown. And that's truth. I like that idea. In fact, I like that idea so much, it's something I play with in the Godzilla saga. All of that stuff is looking great, and that stuff was my favorite stuff within the trailer. The guy mocapping Kong, whoever is mocapping Kong, is doing a phenomenal job. With Kong, you need to see emotions. Godzilla, not so much. And that's not knocking him either. That's not knocking the mocap at all. You don't need to show that much for emotion with Godzilla. I mean, we have seen Godzilla emotional in the MonsterVerse, but it's few and far between. And that's a good thing. It makes the moments all the more grander and impactful when we do see Godzilla showing a bit of emotion. But with Kong, that's not the case. Hell, I'd say gorillas, in reality, are some of the most emotionally expressive animals on Earth. So yeah, I want to connect with him more. So that's about all of the speculating I'm doing within this video. There's so many other channels out there that are just diving deep into this trailer frame by frame, many annoyingly so. And honestly, they do a better job at it than I ever could. So instead, I want to shift gears and focus on something else. In case you can't tell, I want this movie to be dumb. I want it to be silly. I want it to be like Pacific Rim for those late 60s Godzilla movies where I can sit down, crack open a beer, and go, fuck yeah, kick his ass, and enjoy a good fight. Because after the 2020s, after what that's been like, we need a movie like this. Hell, even The Guardian agrees with me. They say, Godzilla vs. Kong is the dumb blockbuster we all need. And I agree. We need some schlock right now. Something to make us pump our fists in the air and feel like we're in a fighting arena. To be clear, the author of this article has no inkling of Godzilla's rich history and clearly only knows him for the dumb, campy movies like Godzilla vs. Megalon. And it's full. The article is just full of him talking down to the genre in general. But he nevertheless brings up a good point. I've managed to see just 2 films, A Sad French Drama and Tenet. After the year we've all had, the act of watching the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer was like getting a massage. It felt like someone had lifted your brain from the top of your skull and carefully dipped it into a nice warm bath. I know things have been tough, it seems to say, but there's a film about 2 gigantic idiots wailing at each other for reasons that aren't even slightly important. Nothing to worry about here. We've got this. While I wouldn't say there were 2 gigantic idiots, I'd agree with this statement. And before people scream at me saying Godzilla is more than just dumb fighting, I know. And I'll tackle that a bit later. But there are so many Godzilla and Kaiju flicks with the mentality the author in this article has stated, especially in the later 60s and the 70s. Those were movies specifically made to entertain first and foremost, and they did. We got some of the most fun movies in the genre during this time period being made with that mentality. Look at Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla in 1974. It's a blast. It's dumb. It's awesome. It's got space apes. It's just a fun movie. And that's what the mission of the movie was, and it succeeded. All it wanted to do was entertain, and it succeeded. It was David Callett who said about Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, this is a ludicrously silly movie. Enjoy it for that. And he applies that mentality to most of the movies in this era, and I think it justly fits. With this mentality basically taking hold amongst moviegoers right now, maybe I was wrong to say that this movie was in trouble. Maybe this film being inadvertently delayed might have actually turned into this movie's favor. And what do I mean by that? If this movie came out in 2020 like it was originally going to, it would have been a disappointment financially like King of the Monsters. But hey, now it's 2021, and hardly any big-time movies have been coming out. We had Wonder Woman 84 a while ago, and that was a piece of shit. That wasn't even fun to watch. And here comes Godzilla vs. Kong. It might just be another surprise hit, like Godzilla 2014. It may just cause Legendary Pictures and Warner Bros. To change their mind on the MonsterVerse. A part of me really hopes that they don't, and I doubt that they will. Mainly because the MonsterVerse would be 4 solid, fun movies, and nothing too grand like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or DC, or what DC tried to do. DC kind of became too grand too quickly, and Marvel has tons of movies that are just meh. So no, with the MonsterVerse, each film is solid, they're fun, and most importantly, they're entertaining. I've fallen into this camp before, and I get accused of this a lot, rightfully so, in many cases. Godzilla shouldn't just be dark, brooding, and allegorical. I mean, I love that, and I won't deny that I don't. I even prefer it, just because I simply like those kind of stories. But the key to those kind of movies is that they need to know what they want to be. There can be no middle of the road with movies like that. But I see, particularly on Toho Kingdom, a lot of fans complaining loudly about how the MonsterVerse is an abomination to Godzilla and Ishiro Honda's original vision. To that, I tell those fans to fuck off. Godzilla can be whatever the hell we want him to be. It's why he's lasted so damn long as a character. Does he need to be an allegory for the atomic bomb? Does he need to be the savior of the Earth? Does he need to be an anti-hero? Does he need to be a natural disaster? All of those scenarios have worked in the past and will continue to work. So inadvertently, by the movie being delayed so much, it just might become the movie we all wind up seeing. Because we kind of need it. We've got all those brooding movies. We hear nothing but about death, and we hear nothing but death and tragedy on the news all the time, and we are deeply divided as a nation right now. Things are tough, not just here, but also around the world. You don't need me telling you that. You know how rough things are right now. You know how shitty things have been over the past year. And what's so beautiful about cinema is they can provide cheap escapism and even bind a lot of division back together. Because people who hate each other can sit, in this case at home, and say, yeah, I watched that, it was fun. And we can all share in the excitement and adventure of a make-believe battle between two badass kaijus. That was a big reason why the original King Kong was such a huge hit. It was pure escapism. King Kong was... No, actually, I'd say King Kong is the purest form of cinema out there. Taking the audience to a world they thought they would never see before, and audiences lined up to get a glimpse of that make-believe world, and to escape the hardships of the Great Depression for a total of 100 minutes. It's why King Kong is my favorite movie of all time. That sounds like I'm giving Godzilla vs. Kong a high bar. I'm not. I'm not going to pretend Godzilla vs. Kong is going to be anything deeper than it is, which isn't very deep. I'm saying it doesn't need to be. And while in the past, hell, even a month ago, I would be complaining or saddened by how shallow this movie is, it took me seeing this trailer and wrapping my head around it to realize what this movie needs to be. Let's revel in the absurdity of the movie. Let's enjoy it like we would a WWE match, or a baseball game, or football, whatever. That's what this movie needs to be. And if it succeeds at that, then I'll be one happy camper. And I'm going to call it right now. Even if I don't love it, I'll be damn glad that I saw it. So go on Facebook to like AN Productions for all up-to-date information of what we're doing. Visit our website, www.adamandproductions.com. Lots of stuff there that you can check out. Old podcasts, short films, so on and so forth. Everything is there. All my social media is in the description below. And in the end, this is Adam Noyce of AN Productions saying, sayonara.